Good morning, Nicole. So happy to be visiting Boston today.
No, I'm excited to have you. I wish you were actually visiting Boston today. We'll have to do this in person next time.
I look forward to that.
I don't feel like you need any sort of introduction, but I wanted to thank you for being here with me today. I know we have two really great topics to discuss. I wanted to let you introduce yourself.
Nikki Field from your sister company in New York, New York. I actually founded and lead the field team, which are 25 strong agents, 24 of them, all better than me. Um, been working in the Manhattan market for, again, 25 years, through the ups, through the downs, through the excitement, the glory, and the terror.
That's great. I can't believe I even have you on here. I'm so grateful for your time. And I know you could share on a lot of topics, but when we talked, we were kind of on the fence about two different topics. So what we're going to do is do two parts, which I think is great. But neither topic are necessarily related, but we're going to kick this off with talking about succession planning. I was really impressed with just what you have sort of planned. Obviously, I'd love to hear what your experience and kind of just starting that plan or starting to think about it. What I loved about what our conversation prior to this was that you said there's never too early to start thinking about succession planning. I want to make sure that that's clear while we kick off. This isn't meant for only someone that thinks they might be aging out very soon. This is something that everyone should really be thinking about. So it seems like you've already done so much work in that field. I'd love to hear about what you're thinking for you and your team in that regard.
Well, thank you. Succession plan is very much on my mind and has been for more than a dozen years. I've witnessed some really well-qualified, successful agents in our industry, not just with Sotheby's, but many of our peers elsewhere, with extraordinary books of business, being highly successful, getting sick, retiring, going part-time, or quite frankly, dying. And with them died their book of business. It's heartbreaking because they had generations of clients that depended on them so significantly. And when this agent aged out, retired, or disappeared, those clients had to go searching for new advisors. And sometimes they made some bad mistakes and certainly were looking for someone of the same caliber that they had been working with over the years. And it just took them a great deal of time and effort to find that, when in fact, their agent could have done the heavy work for them in advance. I started thinking about succession planning when I saw this happening to others. And I realized that it's never too early to begin because it is a long process in your journey of good business planning. I sort of think of it like this. When you may be ready to get off the field and possibly coach from the sidelines or actually just be a spectator at the game, you want to make certain that your team is still winning championships. So how do you do that? That may be your next question. I found it was a challenging, a competitive, confusing thing to begin with. So I started talking to a lot of other people in other businesses. I particularly profiled people in family businesses because I knew that they were ahead of the game so many times. And then I started talking to CEOs and COOs of major corporations because they all have to have this plan set. And what we know about the succession plan is it's never definitive. You may have a good one, but you may have to pivot and restructure it and find a better one.
I love that. Yeah. And I know we say, I mean, even doing mergers and acquisitions in this industry for the company, the saying is like your assets have legs. And it's obviously the same with agents, but it's actually such good exercise to be sure that you have something like this in place because there's so much value in your book. Just to reiterate what you said, there is so much value there, but you really have to be working on that and thinking about this ahead of time. And the other point that you brought up that I love is it's something to genuinely be thinking about if you're entering the business or someone that's new to the business to be of service to somebody. So can you walk us through what your team looks like and how that is going to may potentially evolve for you?
Yeah, there are a couple points there first, and I'll start with the team. All right. I didn't begin a team to identify a succession plan. I began and lead a team to maximize our services and our productivity. And that's winning. That formula works for us and certainly works for everyone on the team. We found over these last 25 years. Started small, like most people, with a partner or an assistant. Had a partner, Jillian Jolis, and I lost her 3 years into the time we were together. She passed away. Our assistant at that time was a huge help in stepping in and helping me fill Jillian's very large shoes. But that assistant wasn't nearly enough to fill those large shoes. So we had to bring in another person. And every time I found I brought another person, not only did it give us a greater ability to service, but it gave us far more exposure to new clients and new specialties. So therein lies the secret to our team success, which is specialization. Every time I would bring in a new team member and train them, as many people have experienced is their responsibility. And actually, I truly advise it. I know many people like to bring in partners or team members that are very well experienced. And that can work for a certain segment of your market. But I like new people in the business. They bring another level of energy. They bring no bad habits. And we're able to train them at our level, our productivity expectations, as well as what I like to say is Sotheby's level of servicing. And that's different from our competitors. It truly is. And I didn't want somebody coming in that had learned to do this business from another place, because our place, at least the reputation that we have and enjoy, is a very special one, the highest level client services. So we would make specialists out of our new people. They would specialize in entry-level purchasing. They'd specialize in rentals. We have specialists on the uptown and the Upper East Side, the West Side. We have specialists downtown. We have a specialist who handles new development, a specialist that handles investment sales. We have our global desk, and that is a huge advantage that Sotheby's International Realty provides us, access to the global players. So in 2008, I began my Asia desk by going over there, identifying the right people and wealth advisors that would participate in referrals from Asia, and ended up recruiting a HSBC banker, opened up a lot of doors for us. And Daniel Chang now heads our Asia desk and has since 2010. Came over from the dark side of banking to real estate. How about that for a risky decision? But he hasn't looked back. Because of the depth and significant volume of business that desk brought us, we then opened up our Middle East desk. Soon after that, our India desk, and our most recent desk is Canada. It's truly about having a very, very direct connection and an introduction to someone who has the trust of international buyers. They can place them in our hands, and we can return that trust by delivering and managing a successful transaction. This consistent pipeline of business from these four areas is generally averaging and continually averaging, I should say, over the last 12 years, somewhere between 60 and 72% of our annual GCI. So it's a massive part of our specialization. So how does this all tie into succession? Well, as you bring in more partners, more advisors, more desk heads, more assistants, you are sitting in an HR role of identifying talent and how that talent works with your specific book of business. And I've been really fortunate because over all of these years, I've been looking at one person and then another and then two others on who could take this over when I finally get to go traveling nonstop. And I'm really fortunate that I have a lot of candidates on my team. In the meantime, something fortuitous happened, and some of you that are listening may be in a similar situation. One of my two daughters, who was in banking, found that she was having some difficulty balancing her life. Two young children, a husband that's a cardiologist and doctor, and not one of those stay-at-home dads, can't work from the home office. Tough time spending all those hours in banking and also feeling like she was doing a productive job as a mom. So I started, just because I'm a mom and because I knew it was in her best interest, talking to her and trying to recruit her over to real estate, which was, I will say, my single most difficult sale. It took almost 2 years with the help of her husband and my husband and a host of others to convince her to try real estate. So Amanda Field Jordan did eventually join, and it was not me. It was not my expert sales skills. I think she missed a ballet recital, a teacher conference, and couldn't pick up one of her children that was ill from school all in 1 week, when she threw up her hands and said, I need better balance. Mom, let's talk.
Yeah.
So Amanda was brought in to save Amanda, not as a succession plan, because I think I had that in place. Amanda joined us 8 years ago. And we herald that with now what I'm recommending to many, many, many of those that are thinking about succession plan, making it very public that you have a partner, an alliance, a successor, and we led with a marketing campaign that said, "Take your daughter to work, ... permanently." Got that out everywhere, sort of. So my clients, our collaborators, our peers in the industry knew that Amanda was coming in, helpful to her, also helpful to me to just let people know we were adding yet one more layer. Amanda right now, and when she listens to this, she should be assured that she is part of the succession plan. After 8 years, she stepped in, and as many of you found out, I'm sure, when you take on partners, the added value that a partner or team member can bring to you, unknown skill sets that you not only don't use yourself, but have no idea exist, truly builds a solid business. Did I answer that one?
Oh yeah, more than answered. That was incredible. I'm interested to hear, I know we talked a little bit about, I love that your input on obviously motherhood and stuff like that. We got to catch up on all of that, but working with family, I know a lot of people listening to this are it's a common thing in the industry. And I think everybody has that hesitancy. And what I was thinking as you were talking is it's hard, whether it's family or just somebody that's coming in, to put them on the forefront, right? Because people don't want to be, that makes everyone nervous for multiple reasons. And I think that it's necessary because you also want to empower that person and not keep them in the background for too long. But I know there's a balance there. I think a lot of concerns that people have, whether it's family or not, or what if it doesn't work out, right? So someone that's going to create the succession plan, what if I announce this and then I have to try somebody else? I know we spoke a little bit about that trial and error and just like leaning into that. If you could talk about a little bit of just not the emotional side, but that piece of it, because I'm sure that you've dealt with that a lot, especially with family.
I bet you could talk me on this subject, Nicole.
Yeah.
Considering you have a little bit of experience. There's 2 prongs here. I want to talk about moving your family member into a business without undermining the foundation, the trust, and the relationships and culture you already have in there. And that is a fine-tuned choreography. And Amanda started that. She taught me a lot. First day she came into the office, and everyone knew her, of course. and those were expecting her. And the very first thing she said, she walked in, she said, "Hi, Nikki." Well, for 32 years, my daughter had never referred to me as Nikki, but that was a subtle and yet obvious notification to me that the rules had changed. It was not going to be a mother-daughter environment. By no means was I going to be referring to her as my daughter or working with her as my daughter. We now were working on equal levels in her mind. And she wanted to establish that not only for me, but for the rest of the team. And Amanda and anyone else that you bring into your team, everyone here knows, must start at the bottom. Literally all of your partners or your assistants have a tremendous amount of experience and knowledge that should never be minimized because someone else is coming into the business. Amanda started as assisting, as doing open houses, as staying late and doing marketing pieces, offering and volunteering everyone on the team her help. "I'll show for you. I'm here this weekend. I can do this for you." Part of it was ingratiating yourself, but most of it was about, I know my position and my place, and I really look forward not only to helping you, but learning from you. So we kept our distance for a while. And I'll tell you something that was extremely helpful. It was coaching. I knew from the very beginning, and I had heard from those people that I really talked to that had succession plans, get professional people to help with this transition because it's a very, very tricky one. It requires patience and respect, possibly hiring a coach. And I'll be very open about this. In many cases, it involves therapy. And Amanda and I embraced it because there were some rough patches, mother-daughter working together. It's a very tricky scenario. No one wants to burn or impact what you hope is a very solid family relationship. Mm-hmm. So through some therapy, which was extremely helpful to both of us, and through our coach, we were able to be prepared for what to expect and how to work within our own lanes. And I think that is really extremely important. Family succession plans, in my mind, generally come with a significant added value. People say, "Why would you bring a family member in?" Well, many people you work with earn your trust. But if you're bringing a family member into your business, they most likely already have your trust. Mm-hmm. So this added value of this trust you have in that person is limitless and a great bonus.
I couldn't agree more. And I think it does. There's other complications and things that come with it, but having that trust is really valuable. And I agree with you. I obviously work with my dad and I use his first name. I actually was just on a call where I was referencing a conversation I had this weekend. And in repeating what I said dad, and I caught myself because it's funny. You go back and forth, like you're on vacation, it's 4th of July. I'm obviously not calling you by your first name, but it just comes naturally at this point. And it's like being the coach's son or daughter, and you have to work almost 10 times harder than everyone else to show that, you're there to work. And I think it can be a great thing if you can work through it. But I love, you told me about the therapy thing, and I'm like, it's not a bad idea at all. Working with family, it's hard. When you were talking about your daughter and her kids, I was thinking to myself, that's the blessing and the curse of this industry. Like the flexibility is incredible. I'm a new mom myself, expecting a baby in the next month. And the flexibility is incredible, but you have to know where to set the boundary. And I found myself having to ask or say, I don't want to talk about work right now. Or if we need to, let's do it. But let's say that that's what we're doing. Cause otherwise it's so blurred. You get your time, but it's like half in, half out. So it's so important to kind of establish those lines.
Our therapist taught us about respect. We had mother-daughter respect, learned and earned. Okay. But coworker respect was totally a new format for us. I had to change my tone of voice with, back to a professional one with my daughter, or my insinuations, as one might do as a mother. I know all. All right. She also had to change her approach to me from a challenging young adult to that older generation that really didn't know that much in the current environment. and we both couldn't have been more delighted with the results of that therapy and that work that we continue to do. But I really want to make a point here, because what we're talking about right now may only be appropriate for a very, very, very small portion of the viewership here. They don't have to be a family member. And you've just heard it could be a whole lot easier without a family member. So, and you could have a family member, which I've seen often, that is not the right successor, but can still be part of your business.
Mhm.
So I think, and I know that if you are a successful business person in any industry, you know the talents and the skill sets that are needed for someone to thrive. And that's what you're looking for first and foremost. Who is it that can take it over? Second, and inherently important is, and I'll go back to what we were talking about earlier in this session, is there has to be a very early introduction to this plan, to your clients, to your referral partners, to your peers in the industry. They need to take the respect they have for you and the experience they know you have and easily accept the fact that this partner or successor has similar ones. And therein lies the challenge. Nobody wants to talk to the junior person. None of your clients want the junior person. They want you. So how do you do that? How do you communicate? How do you prove that the person you're bringing in, your partner that may be your successor, has equal or perhaps even superior capabilities than you? You just say it. I will often say, with whoever on my team I'm working with, the person will call me, client or the customer, I'd like to work with you. Here are my goals. We can do that. We're going to take care of that. And I'm bringing in a partner on this that has deeper skill sets in this particular segment of the market. Your price point, your location, your timing, the neighborhood, a young family. I need them to know that there are two of us. All right. The older, experienced one that they've already had a relationship with, and the younger, sharper one. And I apologize for using the word younger, but that is generally the impression when you bring in a partner, a sharper one that has a much deeper knowledge of their needs. I will tell you, within the second or third call or visit with that client, you're now deferring to the partner, asking directly the partner for their advice or direction or data points. Through that introduction, that very generous introduction where you're proving that this person that you're bringing in is smarter, keener, more experienced, you have deferred your credibility. You have transferred your credibility, is what I mean, over to that partner. So they're no longer the younger one. They're no longer the junior one. They're now the expert one that's better than you.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible that you are able to do that, because I think that's what's most hardest for a lot of people, especially when if you start to step back, that's a sensitive thing. So I think that's great advice. One thing that we talked about was even after you pass away, which I thought was, obviously it's hard to talk about, but it's something that I don't think a lot of people consider. Your business is incredibly substantial, but I think that it's so interesting that you have that set up. If you would be willing to speak a little bit to that side of things too, in terms of that next layer of the succession plan.
Okay, that is the whole point of the discussion we've been having. It truly is. As long as you're having fun and doing this really well, do you need someone to follow you? Yes. And again, I consulted many very talented, successful people with strong business plans. And here's mine, and I'd gladly share it with you. When I step away, and it could be tomorrow, one never knows about their health, or if they're crossing a Manhattan street and a bus hits you, or no, nowadays it's a bicycle, an electric bike. When it could end, or I could be partially out due to illness or a change of life choices. I want to continue with an annuity in this business. I've worked very hard for 25 years. I don't care if you've only been for 5 years. If you're if there's a potential that you're going to move or change jobs or just go off on an island someplace, you're passing up an extraordinary income if you don't maintain a connection to the business that you've generated and built. Those clients are coming back, as we all know, multiple times. So any business that has been created under my watch, when my successor then takes it on, a certain percentage, nice percentage, will be going to me or my benefactors, which means I have an annuity plan. I have an annuity plan for as long as the clients I have or their children or their grandchildren or their great-grandchildren decide to use the Field team. A healthy percentage right off the top goes to my grandchildren and their grandchildren. Yes, it has to be a contract. You want to make certain that you look at it on a regular basis, adjust it so it's fair. And that can be done post retirement too, if you feel that there's a reason to adjust it. My advice is keep this business going for long after you finish going, and make certain that you have a relationship and a successor that will honor your agreement and continue to kill it in business. And what an extraordinary career you will continue to have long after you're gone.
I love it. I love this. And I love that this topic came up so organically for us. And I had explained to you that years ago, right before COVID, I got very into how are we going to do this for people and how are we going to help people? Because genuinely, it became something that I saw as a huge problem, obviously, but something that's really sad. Someone that puts so much time and effort into building a business to not have a plan for how that's going to continue to pay them, however they want to transfer that. And also, everybody has such a different structure to their team and to their business. So it's so individualized that I wanted to really dive in with our agents in particular and say, like, how can we make this happen for you? How can we help you? And what was interesting is right when I was diving in, the pandemic hit, the market went crazy. And I think a lot of people on both ends, right? The people that would potentially be stepping in to help with the succession plan, the younger demographic or newer to the business, they all were getting a lot of business because the market was going crazy. And then same thing with people that were thinking about stepping back. They were talking about this. And then when the market picked up, they're like, okay, I'm going to do this, sort of last run here. And it was so busy that it was hard to think about anything else, which we still should be thinking about it. But now everyone's, I think, coming out of the woodwork and starting to look at these plans again. And so I just think this conversation was so timely and I hope so effective and useful for people. And I'm so grateful that you were able to get on here. And I think it's important.
Well, that was really, really well, your points are just so right on. People are not focused on that. I think the hardest thing for your agents or for many agents is bringing anyone in and sharing what you know. It's not the natural personality of freelance people. We protect what we know. We protect our relationships. We stay in this isolated environment, okay, which ultimately will be the downfall for building your business. So they just have to embrace that. And I think the really, really, really important thing is you may pick somebody, absolutely be open to the fact they may be the wrong person, okay? Work through it. Try it the best you can. The moment you know it's the wrong person, you just go on to the next and the next and the next till you've hit the home run and found a symbiotic person to take over your business.
I love that. Well, I hope this was helpful for everyone. We are going to jump into another topic as sort of a part 2 to this. But Nikki, I'm so grateful for your time. And if anyone, can you tell everyone where they could find you if they want to find you on social media?
Oh, Nikki E. Field on Instagram.
Great. Well,
thank you
that's
for
awesome.
that. But also, please visit me at nikki.field Inc. Okay, that's where we talk a lot about the team or the unusual things that we're offering. And everybody probably knows that the only reason I have some credibility in the business, and I would say a lot of success in the business, is because of marketing. It's just co-marketing me, the team with Sotheby's International Realty. It's just been, it's the wind beneath our wings for flying above your peers. It's really worked for us.